Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of the tism, where the true crime is just as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases, and the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em. And I'm Meg.
We are the Pandemonium. Come on, Rachel.
I had
Let her
to
get
ask because
situated first
there's a
before you
couple of
ask the
state
good
hospitals. But yeah, so do you want me to do the hospitals first or last? There's like 2 or 3 of them.
I feel like there's no right answer. Let's go first so that I can recover. More time for recovery before bed, even though it's literally morning. We don't know how much time I'll need, okay?
All
We
the
don't know how much
Disney.
time I'll need.
Literally turning purple. I am laughing so hard.
I'm going to have to play Disney Dreamland Valley tonight. Like, sorry, we can't watch British Bake Off as our usual Friday night. I have to recover with Disney Dreamland Valley.
I mean, British Bake Off would be okay too.
It's an obsession. Like we are we have watched every single season, all of the ones on Netflix more than once. And so now we're up to date, so we have to wait every week, which is not the way I watch television. I do not watch television week by week. It drives me nuts. So it comes
and all
out
the
today.
commercials.
Right. Don't do that. I don't want commercials. No.
Listen, I love the Great British Bake Off. My favorite one that I've been obsessed with is Gordon Ramsay's Secret Service.
I don't know that one either.
Look at us. We're like, oh, something else to watch.
Okay. So
wait, isn't it on Real People TV? Because I don't have Real People TV.
No. It's on Hulu. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. So Gordon Ramsay gets like these emails for these struggling businesses, and he has a quote unquote inside man. And so this inside man is like telling them what's really happening with the business and why it's actually failing and who's doing what. And one of the ones that I watch, because he goes through at night and they're like, yeah, we cleaned it, we closed it down. I mean, I worked in restaurant business for God knows how long. Rachel remembers the years I worked at Chevy's. Anyways, there's a safe bacteria point, and it has to be below a certain amount. And all of these restaurants are like 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. One of them was 20,000 or 30,000.
Well above the limits.
Well above the limits. And I was watching it, and some of them are like first generation Americans. And their families came over so they could have a better life. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, that's what Grandpa did, like he did everything he could, and so I cry on every episode, of course, naturally, but
Who's the British guy that does Restaurant Impossible?
Robert.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Robert Irvine.
So we met him at a work event because he's a big veteran dude, right? And so we went to a veteran event for work, and my boss actually met him, and it was when she was actually going through her breast cancer diagnosis. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. She was going her breast cancer treatment and all that kind of stuff. And he and his team actually sent her like a handwritten note and a whole bunch of like protein bars and like it. So kind. And he's actually at a lot of the events that we go to. He has a table set up with all of his stuff because it's all veteran friendly and like good for you and great for soldiers and blah blah. So it was very cool. He's a very nice guy. Like we got to he did a presentation, he talked to us, he was very nice.
He went, so I told you I met Guy Fieri and I met Gordon Ramsay and I met Robert Irvine during that same thing, because that's when we were doing the pretty much free dental care for anybody who got affected by the fires, because stuff happens, and I remember getting mad because him and I are in the middle of doing a surgery and I'm the on-site medical assistant. So I'm, running their blood pressure and their pulse and oxygen and doing everything. And I see somebody's hand pull back the side, and it was Robert Irvine. And he's like, come on, lovelies, you need to eat. And I was like, you can back them down. I am busy right now. He is in the middle of surgery. We will get to you in a second. And I pulled the curtain back and I stopped, and my doctor just went, Catherine. And I went, was that? And he goes, mm-hmm. And I went, and did I see? Yep. Okay. And I just turned around and I went, I am so sorry for yelling at you. We're almost done with the surgery. Can you give us 10 minutes? And he goes, you're hangry. You haven't eaten yet. Here. And just shoved a piece of food. And I went,
Eat this.
okay, it was the most delicious thing I'd ever eaten. Do I know what it was? No, because he just shoved it in there. But I mean, it was great.
They're such great people, and like they have like this horrible rap because they have to be so tough on these people on the shows, but outside they're like fluffy puppy kind of thing.
Right? And I appreciate that we started with this topic versus whatever else you suggested, but I like this one.
Listen, hold on. Is this a road trip episode?
It is.
Oh my god!
Road trip?
Beep beep.
Also, it has been requested that I play this because Emily cannot be here today. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Are you ready?
I love the party possums. I love you. I miss you. And remember, do stupid shit.
We discussed this in
Please
every
don't.
ending. No, please don't. Please don't. But
I feel like accidental stupid stuff is okay.
yes, like roller coasters. I consider that stupid stuff.
Roller coaster is not stupid.
Hold on. Disneyland doesn't count. Disneyland and Disney World and Universal don't count. If you were from California, you know about the drop zone incident. That's all I'm going to say. You guys don't know.
You know,
I feel like I do kind of know this, but I shall
have-
wait to see if I was right.
I have questions, but I'm not sure I want answers to. I have a feeling Kat's going to give them to us anyways.
So in California, there is a very big thing where if you are special needs, you cannot go on roller coasters that have severe height. Anything that involves like a lockdown where there's no guardrail, no nothing underneath you, like the safe rides, like the Grizzly or, you know, any sort of the teacup rides, those are fine. But like, this was known as the drop zone where it was literally, hold on, you're up here and it drops. And it does 3 false drops. So you get to here, it drops a little. You get to here, it drops a little. You get to here, it drops a little. And then you go all the way up. And it goes tick, 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 boom. Well, he got up to the second. So there's 4 drops. So he got up to the second drop and he wiggled out of his harness and he fell. So, yeah. And it was all over the news. And like, the reason being is because he had like unclipped his seatbelt. And I was like, so they closed it down for, I want to say, a month.
And you
I do
know
remember.
the person that was working that ride that had checked that child
I did know her.
beating herself up. Like constantly probably second guessing herself, going, did I? I know I did, but did I really? Just the self-doubting. I bless her.
What were you going to say, Meg?
Just that I have a needs of a non-special variety, and I still don't go on that ride. Like you cannot make me get onto a ride that goes up and drops, up and drops. I will not do it because that's not the only story like that where that has happened. Not a safe ride. I'm cool.
I mean, you remember it coming out in the news. Like, it was a big deal. And like, I was there that day. I had to bring my friend Ken some lunch. And I was just like, we couldn't go to that side. Like, the fire trucks were literally driving through the park. And I remember getting a text from Ken and he's like, I know you brought me my lunch. Drop it off with so-and-so over at the pretzel booth. I'll go and pick it up. And I was like, why? And he goes, you can't get to me because he was at the prize booth on the other side of the drop zone. And I was like, do you guys need medical help? And he goes, no, they just got here, but there's no need. And I was like, oh, we're going to go home. He goes, yeah, go to refunds and just drop them this code and they'll give you a full refund for today. And I was like, okay, cool. Because we were going to spend the whole day there, you know, might as well if we're going to go. But yeah, no, It was horrible.
That's terrible and less fun than the baking discussion. So we're just setting a stage for sadness.
Speaking of baking, I have finally successfully baked my first cake
Yay! We love a good cake bake.
from scratch.
It's the best kind. I love baking cake. I hate eating cake. Like, I do not like the taste of cake. And so I used to bake it all of the time. I actually, when I was a teacher, I would bake cake pops on the side and bring them to work because I liked making them, but I hated eating them. So that was like my thing. So I would just be like, okay, I made cake pops this weekend. Anyone want them?
Just existing.
I'm just existing. Listen, I'm trying here.
Okay, are you ready?
No, we're not ready, Rachel.
I mean, I'm ready to listen to the sound of your gorgeous voice, but I'm not ready for the words you're planning to say.
Okay, well, do we have our hydration station and meds taken?
Look, I even ate breakfast, and I'm getting second breakfast, so there will be an interruption here shortly because I'm having a second breakfast procured and brought to me
Delivered.
shortly, right? He was like, I'm gonna go wash the car. Do you want something to eat? And I was like, you darn right I do. So that will happen.
I did not collect any photos. The only photos that I collected were newspaper clippings for one of the porns.
I'm cool to not see photos of things I don't want to see. It's fine.
I ran to grab some delicious fucking Pop-Tarts, and I come back to you guys discussing photos. What did I miss?
You missed that there will be an interruption about procured breakfast that is arriving at my house, and also that there are not a surplus of photos for today's episode, which I'm totally cool with.
I think so. I have article clippings, and then I have 2 photos of the State House. That's it. So,
That sounds lovely.
because it was a lot of information, so I didn't have time to collect photos, just information, all the information.
Okay.
Sweet.
So, are we ready?
No,
No.
but you're going to go ahead anyways.
I love how you're both just like, no, not at all. But too bad. So sad. So, we're going to Indiana.
I have driven through Indiana. It's a beautiful state.
I don't think I've been there. That's not an abbreviation I think I know. I mean, I know it, but like not personally experienced it.
Fun little side fact, my first boyfriend lived in Indiana. It'd be a little town.
Aw, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
So we should curse the whole town. Got it.
If it's small, that's not a lot of energy. We can do it.
Ooh, Tremor. Curse the town with giant earthworms.
Dune?
Have you not seen Tremors?
That's in the
What?
desert, dear.
I'm aware, but
Like
also, do I
Nevada.
look like a person who has seen a movie with tremors? No. I barely watch Halloween movies. Kids ones.
I want to say it's Nevada. It's somewhere over there. It's in the deserts.
It honestly really shocks me that we do this podcast and that I'm on it multiple times because of all the things that I don't do and listen to, honestly.
And you willingly.
Right? Like
Willingly.
it's me clicking the buttons to say yes, shall do, log on. And I do it willingly, so it's really on me.
All right, back to Indiana. So the abbreviation is IN. So in. The population as of 2022 was 6.833 million people. The
There are
state
too
bird,
many people on this earth. Just saying. There's a lot of us.
the state bird is the northern cardinal. The state flower is the peony. Peony. I can never pronounce that word. Peony.
Peony is right. Peony's right.
Peony.
You did it right.
Okay. There are 12 counties. I want to say that if I remember correctly, it's in the Eastern time zone. Because if I remember from when I dated the first boyfriend, that he was always an hour ahead.
You said there were 12 counties, yes?
Yes?
And my brain went, that doesn't feel like a lot of counties. So I went and looked up my state, which has 95 counties. And so I was like, okay, so I was rightish.
The counties are just larger, but also lots of farmland.
Right? But you said 12, and I was like, that's not a large number. By way of counties, in my limited and absolutely non existent knowledge of number of counties and states. So learned something today.
So, about 2,000 years ago, a mysterious culture now called Hopewell tradition filled earthen mounds with tens of thousands of artifacts, which gave Indiana one of the most important archaeological sites in the U.S.
It's called theft, and that's palm-colored people.
Of course. Native American tribes include the Illini, the Miami, the Shawnee, lived on the land for thousands of years, or thousands of years later. Sorry, I can't read my own notes. The Miami, Shawnee, and the Potawatomi tribes still live here today, or live there today. Here, like
Nice.
I'm currently there.
I mean, it's all a state of being. It's fine. You can be wherever you want.
State of delusion. Yes, please.
I'm in the state of denial.
They're side by side. They're cousins.
Exactly. I was going to say delusion, denial, pot, kettle, same thing.
How's the Pop-Tarts?
Side note, how do we feel about, and be very careful with your answer, how do we feel about the brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts?
I like them. Specifically if they're slightly warm so that the sugar is gooey. Yes.
The only kind that I can eat cold is the strawberry Pop-Tart.
Thank you.
My
But I
favorite,
only eat strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon. I don't eat any of the other ones. Like the s'mores one, please don't do that to me.
so my favorite is the s'mores one, but they didn't have it. So we have strawberry. It was strawberry, blueberry, or cherry.
See, the blueberry and the cherry are just not it.
They're not it. And I mean, I used to get the brown sugar because in Weight Watchers, it's 1 point.
I got it because my dad liked it, and so he and I would share them.
That's cute. I like that.
And that's why I would eat those. And also, after I got really good at not having a whole bunch of extra sugar, I tried to eat one of the strawberry ones and literally just took a bite and handed it to my child and was like, I cannot. You enjoy this delectable piece of food.
I mean,
A piece of sugar.
I don't even have soda. Rachel knows I carry Maud around like this everywhere. And the other day I had a soda. I had a Starry because they don't have Sierra Mist anymore.
Because of OnlyFans and lawsuits.
That's her
Yes, I
legal
saw
name.
her. It is
That's
her
her
legal name.
legal
I
name.
just saw her on TikTok the other day.
Because her legal name is also her name that she goes by on OnlyFans and lawsuits. They changed it.
No, that's not what it was.
Really? That's what I thought it was.
No. Okay.
She sued them, didn't she?
She
She sued
sued
them and
them.
Every
won.
time.
Because
Yeah.
okay, so I have 3 kids that I mean I have more than that, but they're my feral goblins, and they have OnlyFans and they love it, but of course we can't say that, so it's Only Plants. They have an Only Plants account, and
Only plants.
yes, just plants all the time. So with their Only Plants, they told me that they're friends with this person, and the reason being is because the actual name, the name, the brand was no longer under copyright because you have to redo the copyright every 20 years. So like our brand is copywritten because the minute we posted an episode with our name and our logo, it was copywritten. My name is personally copywritten because I publish books, stuff like that. Well, Sierra Mist lost their copyright because they no longer had the copyright clause anymore. And so she's like, well, that's my legal name. I've been alive longer than Sierra Mist has been a product. So she went and bought the actual copyright and bought a 100-year copyright clause. So they tried to sue her, and she goes, here's my birth certificate. Here is my legal ID. Here is my library ID. Here is a bunch of bills in my name. My name is legally Sierra Mist, and it's spelt the same way too. And they were like, wait, I can't. And I was like, sucks to be you.
That's hilarious. I love it.
That is, and like, good honor. It's her name. That's who she is.
Also, if you guys are not following Meg's other podcast, which is fabulous, we love her and Abby, go and follow her because she's fabulous. She reviewed my book number 1, which was Aetherwood. You haven't read the other 2. They're both out on Amazon right now, but I know you said you're going to read them because they're on Unlimited.
When I eventually get Kindle Unlimited, because for some reason I'm holding out on it because I just keep buying books.
It's
So
fine.
I feel like if I stop buying books, maybe I'll do Kindle Unlimited, but I don't know that will ever happen.
Topic. I know we're already starting. It's 23 minutes in. I'm sorry. Rachel and I have agreed, as well as Tamara, who's helping me edit the books. Rachel's the one that I bounce the ideas off of. So for the first 5 books, I'm going to be doing a special print. All of them are going to be, I'm going to do them myself. I'm going to get them with the black covers and then gold foil them and do the sprayed edges on them and get them done professionally.
We love a
So,
good sprayed edge.
but I found out it's $380 per book. So for for 20 books, it's $390. So I have to save up for it, which is fine. But
It is only money.
well, I'm going to be doing it for the meet and greet, and people can buy the books. They can pre-order the books before the meet and greet. And so I was like, I can do that.
Sounds fun to me.
Now, Indiana, you were saying Indiana. Yes.
Around 1614, French explorer Samuel de Champlain visited the area. Who was one of the first Europeans to see the land. By late 1600s, the land was controlled by the French. Between 1754 and 1763, the French and the English fought for control of the region in the French and Indian War. The English
So
were
rudely
victorious, right? Of course, English were victorious because, of course, they were. And later, these lands would become known as the Indiana Territory. At the end of the American Revolution in 1783, Britain then ceded Indiana to the U.S., and in 1816, Indiana became the 19th state.
What was Britain going to do with just a random Indiana? That's my question. Like, I'm hoping it was like a package deal where they're like, you can have Indiana and all these things, or where they're just like holding out on Indiana. Like, this one is ours. No one is doing that. You already took it from the French. Just be off with it.
Mostly fur trapping and everything was a big thing.
Yeah, but like, it's like in the middle. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but it's like in the middle of nowhere. So we don't need to just keep your little sliver of Indiana.
Come down through the river in between the U.S. and Canada, through the Great Lakes into Indiana. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Geography, man.
It's like that Eddie Izzard skit. Do you have a flag? No, I have a flag. It's mine now.
It's mine now.
My flag was there first. It's mine. Anyways, so during the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865, the state fought in favor of the Union because it would be horribly placed if it decided to fight for the Confederates. It
Right.
would have been a bad
Your
idea on that
location.
fan.
Your location designated that one. I mean, also hopefully
Right.
your morals, but you never know.
Mostly the location, it's what did it. So Indiana was named after the American Indian tribes who lived there when the Europeans arrived because, of course. So the local animals are wood rats, bobcats, muskrats, and meadow jumping mice are among the most common animals.
Nope, I'm good.
Bald
Meadow jumping
eagles.
mice sound wonderful.
Yes, but everything else. We're not going to focus on just that one. Everything else.
So, bald eagles, hairy woodpeckers, and eastern bluebirds can be seen spotted flying overhead. And yes, I said hairy woodpeckers.
What a name.
Right. Ornate box turtles, colorful ringneck snakes, and little brown skinks are a few of the local reptiles.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
little brown. What?
Skinks,
Skinks.
not skanks. They're different. We don't designate color on the ones with the A. Okay? Everyone
Skinks
is welcome.
are a not quite a newt, not quite a salamander, but not quite a full-on lizard. It's kind of a combination. They're usually actually kind of cute.
They're just a wee hybrid. It's fine.
Yeah.
Also, it sounds
Mimi
like it should be something that looks like a chipmunk, but it doesn't.
Mimi had a blue-tailed skink that lived in her garage for years, and then, like, I guess the OG one died, and just had the babies just kind of lived in there. The garage never had issues with bugs, so we weren't complaining.
I mean, since we stopped trying to unalive the geckos in the garage, we haven't had a problem with bugs either. But these look adorable. They look like
I told
a
you.
cross between like a salamander and like a what's that big lizard with the triceps and biceps?
A Komodo dragon?
That one. It looks like a salamander with a Komodo.
I told you they're adorable.
Give me 10 of them right now.
The state
Jumping field mice you won't have? Come on. Meadow mice. Meadow mice.
like meadow mice are like tiny little things. We were getting them in the camper for a while, and they're tiny little adorable things. I just don't want to live in the same facility with them because they poop and pee everywhere and they get into everything. So makes sense. So the state amphibians include cave salamanders, American bullfrogs, who are so fucking noisy, and plains leopard frogs.
Okay.
Like this?
So the local trees are the sycamore, the eastern red cedar, white oak, and the tulip poplar.
Ooh.
And wildflowers that grow there include the violet colored tall bellflower, the purple flowering raspberry, the bright scarlet royal catchfly, and the blue mist flower.
Those sound like something from like a fantasy novel, and I love it.
We love native wildflowers. So gas, oil, and coal are some of the state's most valuable natural resources. So, of course, mining. They also mine sand, gravel, and limestone. Because, of course. So, a few of the famous people is James Dean, David Letterman, Axl Rose, Florence Henderson, Larry Bird, Scatman Crothers, Jim Davis, Eugene V. Debs, Adam Driver, Jenna Fisher, Vivica A. Fox, Jim Gaffigan. I always take a second with his last name. Ron Glass, John Green, and they're like those were the only ones that I felt like talking about.
The only ones are in Indiana. Like, that's a good number, right? I also thought you were going to say Ron Burgundy, and then my brain went, he's not real.
Only in people's imaginations.
He can be from there, too.
Okay, so you ready for the haunted shit now?
No, but you're going to do it anyways.
Okay, so we decided on doing the hospitals first?
Sure, while I'm eating. Let's do it.
Okay, so first up then, we have the Indiana Central State Hospital, which was once known as the Indiana Hospital for the Insane.
No, I was hoping you were going to just be like, no, it was just known as the inpatient hospital. A play on their abbreviation. No, okay.
Well, patients did go in.
Ma'am.
Not all of them made it out.
Ma'am.
You set yourself up for that one.
The truth doesn't have to be so loud so early.
So there was a cemetery that was found that had over 200 unmarked graves of patients who died there between 1848 and 1905. Allegations of abuse, suicide, and accidents over the decades and concerns about its unsanitary conditions and understaffing were raised before it was finally shut down.
Ain't none of that an accident.
You were going to say something, Kat?
Find it funny that
There's nothing funny.
not that I find I have
Not
a lot
haha funny, trauma funny.
trauma funny. I have a lot of posts that I've reposted, like bring back the 50s, the carnivals and the hay rides and the soda shops type thing. And one of our friends had posted something like, you don't want that 50s thing, and I was like, not the mindset, all of this other crap. Like I definitely was not supposed to have been born in the 50s because I have a big fucking mouth and I would have been stuck in that insane asylum. So every time I research something and I see an insane asylum, Frank, his little voice goes, "Hey, look, it's your second home away from home."
That was your outside spectral voice.
So, anyways, patients died from illnesses like tuberculosis, anemia, epilepsy, and regular GI problems. There were even beatings that occurred and were even documented. There was even a notable drowning incident.
We are writing down the atrocities? Usually we just talk about them, but they're just going to keep a record. Here are all of the bad things we did. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Cool.
You look so thrilled. So
it's not that I'm thrilled. Oh no. You did the
I was
whole
being
list.
terribly sarcastic.
I know. You were doing the whole list, and then the last one, epilepsy. My brain went, how do you die from epilepsy? And I'm like, well, you can actually die from epilepsy, but
just took you a minute. Usually it did. So the Central State Hospital was formerly referred to as the Central Indiana Hospital for the Insane and was a psychiatric treatment hospital located in Indianapolis. The hospital was established in 1848 to treat patients from anywhere in the state. But by 1905, with the establishment of psychiatric hospitals in other parts of Indiana, Central State served only the counties in the middle of the state. In 1950, it had 2,500 patients. Allegations of abuse, funding shortfalls, and the move to less institutional methods of treatment led to its closures in 1994.
94.
Since then,
94 is so not that long ago. I mean, I get that it's like 26 years, but or 20 however many years, but that doesn't feel like that long ago.
It's still so close to us.
Right, that's what I'm saying. No, that's too close.
Y'all are gonna hate this next part.
Then
Since then, efforts have been made to redevelop the site for various uses.
A daycare. I swear to God, if it's a daycare, I'm logging off.
don't make me fight you.
Do we know what it is? Is it a daycare? It's like a dog park or something.
I have no clue.
Okay, good. Because, like, a dog comes back and it's like, oh, you found yourself a bone. It's a femur.
So, when the hospital first opened in November of 1848, it had 5 patients. At that point, it consisted of a 1-brick building situated on a large parcel of land of over 100 acres.
Spacious. Everybody gets 25 acres.
In 1889, the hospital was renamed the State Indian Hospital for the Insane After 1926, it was known as Central State Hospital, and by 2 years later, the physicians cared for the nearly 2,500 patients. So in the beginning, it grew yearly until it encompassed so basically for 100 years. So from 1848 to 1948, it grew yearly until it was two massive ornate buildings, one for male, one for female patients. A pathological department, which now hosts the Indiana Medical History Museum, a hospital for the
Wait. No, back it up. It's open as a museum to the public, to the living people?
Yes.
No.
Emily would probably want to go here.
No, Emily, we're not going.
Emily wants to go to all the hospitals.
I do not.
So one of the buildings was also a hospital for the sick insane for the treatment of physical ailments. There was a farm colony where patients engaged in occupational therapy, a chapel, an amusement hall complete with an auditorium, billiards, and a bowling alley. Then there was also a bakery, a firehouse, a cannery, which was staffed by patients, and idyllic gardens and fountain. So they essentially made this huge property. So cool, great, love that. Self-sustaining, perfect. The more ornate of the two massive buildings became known as Seven Steeples, and this building housed female patients and was designed using the Kirkbride plan for medical healthcare facilities. For half a century, the buildings and gardens housed the mentally ill. By 1905, the state had built mental health institutions in Evansville, Logansport, Madison, and Richmond, thereby relieving the overcrowded Central State Hospital of some of the patient load and leaving it to treat only those from the Central District, which was an area of 38 counties situated in the middle portion of the state. In 1950, the patient population had reached the 2,500, which was its largest capacity. By the early 1970s, most of the hospital's ostentatious buildings had been declared unsound and torn down. The men's department building, that sounds like a fucking store. The men's department building was not a Kirkbride design, but was known as straight block, although it had the same goal of providing patients with access to a window for sunlight and fresh air. That just seems dangerous, but I get it. Had already been demolished over 12 years, ending in 1941. In their place, the state constructed brick buildings of a nondescript institutional genre. These modern buildings and the medical staff that were there continued to serve the state's mentally ill until allegations of patient abuse and funding troubles sparked an effort to forge a new alternative to institutionalization. There we go. Which in turn led to the hospital's closure.
Why has it always got to be abuse? Arsenic or abuse? These are our stories.
They happen to be my stories for some reason.
Or your stories.
Oh, do you want to hear about for the superintendents?
No, but go ahead.
So the first one, James Athon, was superintendent in 1857 when patients were sent home due to a lack of funding. The next one is William Baldwin Fletcher, who was there from 1837 to 1907. No, maybe that was his years. He was superintendent from 1883 to 1887. When he was fired, he was known for destroying mechanical restraints in an 1885 bonfire and opposing staff appointments influenced by politics. So good for him. Okay, but it's probably also why he didn't last very long.
Dang it. Good old Billy.
George F. Edenharder was superintendent from 1893 to 1923. He was involved in the establishment of a pathology building, which currently houses the Medical History Museum, which opened in 1896. Not the museum, the building. Just for clarification, because I could see that question coming and forming on Cat. Max A. Bahr, B-A-H-R, was superintendent from 1923 to 1952 and trained as a clinical psychiatrist and was known for his work in forensic psychiatry and the treatment of neurosyphilis.
Swiss Cheese Brain. We talk about it on the Alcatraz episode. Al Capone.
Yes. Two of the notable other staff is Sarah Stockton, who graduated from the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania. She was hired in 1884 as the first female physician at the hospital, specifically for care in the department for the women. So good for her.
These are not bad things that you're saying with your mouth, and I appreciate that.
Agreed.
Walter Brutisch was educated in Switzerland and Germany and hired in the 1920s to be the chief pathologist in the new pathology department. So cool. We love this.
20 years later, we would have been worried, but the 20s is fine.
So a few of the patients, Anna Agnew she published a biography, Under the Cloud, or Personal Reminiscence of Insanity in 1886 to discuss the treatment she experienced during her 7 years at the hospital. Rhea Fagan Cox wrote a short story, I Remember Jones, in 1950 about the treatment she experienced at the hospital in the 40s, and her daughter, Jane Cox, was Kurt Vonnegut's first wife. No idea who that is. Robert Dale Owen was a U.S. representative who received care at the hospital for 3 months after a mental breakdown in 1875.
Kurt Vonnegut is an American author. He wrote Slaughterhouse-Five, Cat's Cradle, Sirens of Titan, Mother Night, Breakfast of Champions, and his most famous book was Slaughterhouse-Five, which was actually a semi-autobiographical anti-war novel known for its unique blend of dark humor, science fiction, and non-linear storytelling inspired by his experiences in World War II. They also made a movie about it.
The next one is Albert Thayer, who is a Civil War veteran who published exposés about the poor treatment of patients at the hospital after getting discharged in 1884. And the last one is John Zoar.
What'd you find?
So
Don't talk about him, just the last name. Zoar, thank you. He trained as an artist in Prague and Berlin and created watercolor paintings of the hospital as a patient in 1936. He was admitted to the hospital by Alexander von Goethe, who was the son of Bernard von Goethe I. Did you want to talk about his paintings?
Some of them are in the MoMA in New York. So beautiful. They're huge. One of them took up almost an entire wall, like the original art, the canvas. So it's not like it was blown up or anything. It was just an entire wall he had painted. And I was like, that's cool.
I have no talent of that nature.
Same.
I can draw stick figures.
I
Same.
can doodle. I can doodle a shark face.
I know, because your favorite pastime is sharks. I can world build for you and make graphic art.
Perfect. So none of us are getting into the MoMA, is what you're saying.
And now, the current status of the property. So the grounds of the hospital was still largely vacant as of 2011. And where the women's ward used to be is a large lawn. There are approximately 10 buildings on the grounds that were associated with the hospital still. So you have the pathology department, which is now the museum. And then 3 more modern wards were added in 1974 when others were demolished. The oldest building on the property is the old powerhouse, which was built in 1886. The administration building, which was built in 1938, is now the structure that's most associated with the hospital, although it never housed patients. In 2005, the Beckman Theater was granted temporary occupancy of the 1895 Laundry Building for staging its production of Asylum. More recently, the building was used for storing cars.
Two sides of a spectrum there.
Yeah, pretty
Cars in a
much.
horror movie.
The Indiana State Archives, the State Library, and the Medical History Museum are currently in works of preserving the history of the institution that served the mentally ill for 146 years.
Wow.
Right. In March of 2003, the city in Indianapolis purchased the property from the state. At that point, the land that was acquired consisted of 160 acres. In December of 2006, the city approved the sale of the Central State Hospital site to a developer for just over $2 million. The developer began further negotiations with the city to determine the future uses, including apartments, shops, and green space. About 6 months later, the developers sought to buy another 33 acres from the city at a cost of $223,500. In late 2013, several buildings, including the former administration building as well as the prominent powerhouse, were purchased by a company known for refurbishing buildings otherwise left to rot. The project turned the administrative building into student apartments beginning in January 2014, with some students moving in by the following September as construction continued. The building is now named Central State Mansion and retains original features of the architect, as well as decorations suggestive of its history.
No. No.
Decoration seems like such a wrong word. Like, I don't think that's an aesthetic.
Definitely not an aesthetic, at least not one that's...
Right? Mental hospital is not like, I'm not going for cozy mental hospital. A wee minty bee. Like, that's not, I'm not doing that.
We're not having a tiny grippy sock vacation. But again, like, it's one of those things like the Princess Bride. You keep saying that word. I do not think you know what that means.
I do not think you know what it means.
Pretty much. So obviously the site is the subject of the film Central State Asylum for the Insane, a documentary produced and directed by independent filmmaker Dan T. Hall of Vismo Films. And as of December of 2022, only 3 of the original structures remain. The 1886 power plant, the 1895 pathology building, and a building of unidentified use. I couldn't find any specific haunted stuff, but it's a hospital for the mentally sane. It's haunted as fuck. Like, that goes without saying.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. But also, I like this. I like that you couldn't find that because this was more enjoyable to listen to. I didn't hear the L word. There were no little head holes. It was nice. I'm cool with that.
You have a problem with lobotomies?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
All 3 of us, if this were the 20s and 30s, we would have all been lobotomized because we're bibliophiles. And we like the written word, and we're a little too curious about people.
I have one brain. Nobody else needs to use it. I barely get full use of it.
It's fair.
Do you want to hear about the sanatorium now?
I thought that was the whole
No, that was the hospital for the mentally insane.
But wait, there's more.
Shut up, Billy Mo.
This one was open in 1900, or the state decided to start looking for 500 acres to purchase in 1907 for the State Tuberculosis Hospital. So in 1908, the location had been narrowed down to Rockville, Laurel, and Greencastle. Obviously, there was testing of the sites because they wanted it to be self-sustaining. Eventually, the governor and the state chose Rockville after locals raised additional funds as an incentive for the government. It was located on over 200 acres and it offered full access, or the state and the sanatorium offers full access to over 120,000 square feet of historic tuberculosis hospital, nursing home, mental hospital, and supporting buildings, which include thousands of feet of steam tunnels.
What tunnels? Steam?
Yes. So
So, like a natural sauna? What is a steam tunnel? Is it heated floors? Like, what? What's a steam tunnel?
You want to
Is it
take
for
that,
trains?
Cat?
I'll look it up. I'll Google it. Continue on.
Okay. So the Indiana State Sanatorium operated as the main tuberculosis hospital from 1908 to 1968. So for 60 years. It reopened as the Lee Allen Bryant Health Care Center in 1976, where the site operated as a nursing home and private mental hospital until 2011, when it closed suddenly, leaving behind hundreds of beds and hospital equipment.
Fair enough. Also, steam tunnels, not exciting.
As someone who thoroughly enjoys like architecture and stuff like that, that's one of the rabbit holes that I would go down. Be like, ooh, what is this for? And it's not really anything big. You think it's big.
It's just a passageway for pipes to go through, really.
Boring.
I'm not the train type of autism. I'm the building type of autism.
Same though.
Appreciate the designation, really.
So the original sanatorium was open from 1908 to 1968. And obviously the whole purpose of it was to be the primary facility for treating and quarantining tuberculosis patients. It became a self-sustaining community as it had its own farm, fields, orchards, and a dairy to support the patients and the staff. It started these cows. It started with men, women's, and children wards, and then saw expansions to include a school building in 1918. Because, even though you're dying, you still got to go to school, kids.
Right.
But also,
day off. My kids get days off for everything, but like death is not on that list. Okay.
But it was probably also for the staff's families as well. So later in 1950, a psychiatric wing, which was named Adams Hall, was added, and then a chapel was added after that. In the early 60s, a cure for TB was available, and so the number of patients declined, which led to the facility's closure in 68. It then reopened in 76, where this new facility faced financial difficulties, allegations of inadequate care, and incidents of patient abuse and violence. The facility permanently closed in 2011 due to license revocation and lawsuits. In 2021, the property came under new ownership, and they began restoring the buildings and abandoned property. It has been used for filming Hollywood productions and is being preserved as a historic district. I put in my notes, this place is super haunted and you can go to it to experience it. No, Emily, we are not going.
No!
I'm out.
Way my stomach dropped.
need to go to spooky hospital places. Like hospitals that exist and are in business now are not super cozy. So I'm out.
Looking at the buildings themselves, like the building itself, it's really pretty. It is looking a little spooky because you can tell it's been abandoned. It's from the older pictures was so gorgeous at one point. Obviously, disarray. Mother Earth takes back over, so
Right, but I feel
kind of.
like if I have tuberculosis and I'm already not feeling great, might not make it. It might be kind of nice to go somewhere that's pretty for however many days I have in that space. I'm okay with it being pretty. Not okay with the creepy haunted stuff, but I'm okay with the other stuff.
So now we're going to go to the Whispers Estate.
That better be a name. That better be
Yeah,
a name and not
it is.
a moniker for something that happens there.
Well, I mean,
Don't
it
you
wouldn't be on the
wail at me.
list.
Don't wail
It
at
wouldn't be
me.
on the list.
It might be. Maybe they shout. Look, if you're a ghost, note, if you're a ghost, just yell. Use your voice. Use your diaphragm. Project. Ain't nobody whispering at me.
You good there, Kat? The silent no. Okay, so it is a 3,700 square foot house with 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. It sits on a quarter-acre lot. There's a formal entry, 10-foot ceilings, a living room, dining room, stone basement, and unfinished space on the 3rd floor. The house still has all the original hardwood in place. It's a gorgeous house.
Is it for sale?
It was.
What?
I mean, maybe Indiana's nice. Unfinished space on the 3rd floor sounds a lot like an attic library to me.
Same.
We head to Zillow.
Realtor.com.
It looks like the house from Anne of Green Gables.
Gorgeous house.
Also, read part of that first line. I don't want to live there no more. Continue.
Again, wouldn't be on the list if it wasn't haunted.
A girl can hope somebody made a mistake, okay?
Yeah,
To be fair, it comes with furniture and ghosts. So we get a 2-for-1 special.
But is it their furniture? Because what if I change something? Look, we're getting too far ahead. Rachel, continue.
So built around 1894 in Mitchell, Indiana. Well, 1894 was the earliest discovered records of the house being existed. It was probably built before that. We don't really know. So around 1899 and 1901, Dr. John and Jessie Gibbons purchased the home from Dr. George and Sarah White. As you know, most times doctors had doctors' offices in their homes. John and Jessie adopted abandoned/orphaned children. One of these children was named Rachel. She was 10 years old when she caught fire in the front parlor and was badly burned and died 2 days later.
She caught fire?
Like, the person caught fire? That's not easy. People move.
So there was different accounts that she set a fire or she caught fire. Either way, she was terribly burned. But also, you have to remember, the clothing back then were very flammable. Very, very flammable.
I don't know. I can't see my 10-year-old, who's now 11, catching on fire. I feel like we're finding an adult before that becomes a problem.
I mean, she might have just stood too close, or she might have, went to go add fuel to the fire and just
Fell in.
an ember. Well, I was thinking more like an ember got kicked out and she just happened to, her clothes just ended up going over it, catching fire. Because
Perhaps.
Everything was so flammable then.
Right. I just also hated the delivery because she caught fire in my brain, my little brain that was like, "Hi, I can see the things you're saying." That was not fun.
She is heard and seen running around the house still.
Hope she was happy because she was like adopted and that sort of thing. So I hope she was like, it's a happy running around because this is a place she enjoyed being. So maybe I'm pulling on strings here. All right. Pulling on tattered bedclothes at this point.
You good, Kat? You're just like, as long as she has eyeballs, I don't care. 10-month-old Elizabeth died in the main bedroom from unknown causes. The scent of baby powder and her cries can still be smelled and heard.
That's horrible and sad.
Jesse died in the main bedroom after fighting double pneumonia 2 weeks after Elizabeth. So it is possible that Elizabeth was sick and that's why she passed, but also 10-month-old. And that time, like, SIDS was very much a thing.
That was my first.
I mean, it still is very much a thing, but.
And if she's already sick and not breathing well, that's going to exacerbate whatever happened. So it's possible it was a combination of things. And they probably didn't know that much about it at that point.
Right. But those that sleep in the main bedroom can wake up to labored breathing and fits of coughing, and some have reported the feeling of having somebody sitting on their chest.
That COPD commercial with the elephant on the chest. That's the first thing I saw.
So the most common experience in the main bedroom is the doorknobs jiggling, then stopping, and then the closet door would pop open.
It's like a modern day Jack in the Box.
You're muted.
Say it in 6 other languages. 9, no, nienta, nota, non.
Gives a new meaning to Pop Goes the Weasel.
Rachel!
I couldn't help myself.
Just don't say that.
Neurotypical people don't say that. But we are far from that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this podcast.
We are way off topic and we're over an hour. Let's go.
Okay, so Dr. John was a prominent doctor in the town and had his office set up on the first floor. Given the time period, it is believed that many of his patients died in the house as he was in practice for 26 years.
I'm sorry, what?
Surprise!
No surprise!
It is also said that after Jesse's death, he was the subject of an insanity inquest and became senile, which led to the revocation of his medical license and the eventual forced retirement, which is understandable. He probably fell into depression. His wife died, along with 2 other kids. So stories of subsequent owners/occupants suggest that others have encountered their own demise, such as a gentleman in the 50s/60s that died in the upstairs bathroom, a young boy that died from falling down the front staircase. In 2006, previous owner bought the house after it being vacant for a few years. During the restoration, strange activity started to occur. Because of course it did. You're remodeling the house. So activity in the house has continued and even increased, subsequently earning the name Whisper's Estate. After guests repeatedly reported hearing disembodied voices whispering in their ears.
We talked about this and specifically requested it not happen. Specifically.
You can't always get what you want.
Stop that.
No.
You're really going to hate this next part. There are supposedly 4 graves in the backyard, not including what psychics have called a pit grave, which they say contained amputated limbs, internal organs, and aborted fetuses, etc. Don't you? You're going to hate it. There is also reportedly a portal / vortex which runs up through the house from the front parlor into the third floor room / attic. The room in the attic is said to be the heart of the house, and guests that are brave enough to sleep in that room report horrible nightmares and sometimes hear something trying to get into the room via the doorknob jiggling.
In my library? No, thank you. And I'm definitely now changing that. That upstairs floor is no longer a library. If it's a vortex, it's not quiet, peaceful.
Visitors have reported sighting a shadow, which is now called Big Black, which they say is an entity that psychics. I'm using quotations around psychics because I'm just kind of meh. I don't know them, and so I am skeptical, which they say is not of this world. Well, no shit. Most commonly encountered in the doctor's rooms, it has also been seen throughout the house.
Couldn't give it a better name. We weren't more creative on that. Like a Dwight, or maybe, I don't know, a Wallace. It has to be just a moniker of its what it looks like. Boring.
EVP sessions have revealed many entities in the house at any given time, but you don't need recording equipment to hear the disembodied voices. Many young women have reported hearing Dr. John whisper in their ears, as well as sometimes grabbing / groping them.
Treat this like any regular bus ride. Don't talk to me, don't touch me.
Guests claim to see the beds and couches visibly shake, while still others sleeping on the beds and couches have reported having them shake violently. Investigators often do rounds throughout the house at different times throughout the night. Sometimes upon leaving the servants' quarters, just after the last person exits the room, the solid, heavy wood door slams with unrestrained force by unseen presence because you're leaving the fucking door open. Shut the damn door! There are also times when ghosts notice pleasant smells of baby powder throughout the house, but also the pungent cologne / aftershave, cigar, tobacco, rancid meat and cabbage, dirty medical bandages, and more. And those are not uncommon.
They need to be common.
Guests have also reported that their recording camcorders have been moved by an unseen presence, thereby disturbing the viewpoint of the intended target.
Maybe the lighting was better.
8 out of 5 spookies.
8 out of 5 spookies. That's a lot of spookies.
Well, I mean, all that shit. Like, 8 out of 5 spookies.
No, I'm with you. I honestly half expected you to be like, when they started renovations, the walls started dripping blood. Like, that would not have surprised me in this story.
No, the blood went out to the pit grave with the amputated limbs.
Right, the pit of despair. Got it.
Do you want to know about some haunted highways now? Because that's next to my list.
No.
She's like,
So bad. They're not as like Whisper Estate. I think there's another one like it, though.
on with it.
Right, I gotta keep moving. So Reeder Road, it's a urban legend. So the haunted highways are urban legend stuff. So it revolves around a turn of the century, 20th century church where a pastor was said to have gone mad, locked everyone inside, and then burned the church to the ground. People have claimed to hear the screams of the victims and even see a mirage of sorts of a church on fire. Then there is another local legend of a hitchhiking ghost on Reeder Road that goes by the name of Elizabeth Wilson. Supposedly, Elizabeth drowned in the nearby swamp when her car went off the road, and her ghost has been seen waiting at the roadside for a ride to her old house. But when she's inside the car, she disappears at Ross Cemetery, where she was buried in 1955. Other local stories say the spot was a popular place to dump mafia kills in the 1930s, and was also a popular suicide location in the 80s and 90s. People say that the area is haunted by voices, strange lights, and apparitions.
That took one hell of a turn, frankly. Because I was like, oh, poor Elizabeth. Like, was she wearing white? Was going to be my question. And then you were like, also the mafia and sewer slides. Cool.
So, apparitions, disembodied voices, cold spots, mysterious mists, fogs, orbs, footsteps with no sources, and feelings of being touched or pushed have been reported.
Great.
Then there's the Avon Haunted Bridge, where locals say you might see or encounter the ghost of a weeping woman whose child was killed on the railroad tracks, or a drunken worker who fell into a load of wet construction concrete and was entombed in the bridge itself. Both of these tales have the same thing in common, where you go when going under the bridge, you honk your horn to drown out whatever haunting sounds you may hear when you pass by.
Did this man have 0 coworkers? Because how did he get stuck for that long?
He was, well, I mean, if he, fell in and nobody noticed and they poured the concrete on top of him. So, I mean,
like when you pour it, if it doesn't lay flat and you're doing the little, scritchy thing to flatten it out, and all of a sudden there's, a big toe, wouldn't you think there's somebody in there?
but it's probably the columns. He probably fell in and then they weren't paying attention and poured it in.
Well, then I hate that more. God. Oh, God. No. No, thank you.
And then there's Hamilton Road, that urban legends say that the ghost of a short man will chase you if you stop on the third bridge and flash your lights 4 times and then cross the bridge. Phantom flames are also known to come from the woods where an 1800s church caught fire. A phantom train also comes down the tracks that are nearby. But apparently this road is a dangerous location, especially during rainy or winter weather. I can't talk right now.
Why are we enticing short men to chase us?
Not a clue.
Because they weren't accepted into the Lollipop Guild, obviously.
Naturally. Choose the bear.
Always.
The next stop is the Hannah House. It's also
Sweet.
It's not going to be
known.
sweet.
It wouldn't be on the list if it was sweet. Meg's like, I already know this plot.
Right, I know what's going to happen. She's going to be like, also known as the House of Horrors and Death.
So it's also known as the Hannah O'Hiller Elder House. It's a historic home in Indianapolis. It was built in 1859 and is a 2.5-story, 5-bay Italianate-style brick dwelling with Greek Revival-style design elements. It also has a lower 2-story kitchen wing with a gallery that was added in 1872. Trying to add years here. The house has a low-pitched hipped roof with bracketed eaves, since I know Kat has a thing for architect. It was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1978 and is known today as being a haunted house.
Who is?
The two of yours faces just... So... Alexander Hannah bought the materials to build the house in November of 1858 using $585 worth of bricks, which is about $23,112.92 in 2025. Alexander had moved from California back to his home state of Indiana after making substantial money from the California Gold Rush. The house was built on 240 acres of farmland purchased from his father, Samuel Hannah. He added a smokehouse, milk cooling room, staff quarters, and a wash house to the property following his marriage to Elizabeth in 1872. Their only child was stillborn on March 16th of 1875, which left no one to inherit the house.
Also, missed opportunity for a Hannah.
The house went on the market and was purchased alongside 21 acres of surrounding property by a jeweler and a Civil War veteran, Roman Oehler. In 1899, Roman was a successful businessman who had immigrated from Germany in 1859 initially selling pins door to door until he made enough money to open his first jewelry shop. He added the front porch to the house as well as a barn to replace the 3 previous barns that Alexander initially built. Roman died in March of 1920, leaving the house to his daughter, Romina. Romina inhabited the house with her husband and 4 children until 1962. And so her surname from her husband, Marion Elder, was the last to be associated with the property. That's why it's the 3 names. So the house is still owned by descendants of Roman's family today. In the 60s and 70s, John and Gladys O'Brien rented the house and ran an antique store inside, which of course was just adding to the spookies.
Right, let's just bring other haunted things in here and put it all together.
During this period, the first reports of paranormal activity that the house would become known for arose.
Of course it did.
Of course, these were the typical haunted house occurrences: unexplained noises, lights, electronic devices turning on and off, etc., and of course, things moving on their own. After the O'Briens moved out, the Elder family worked to get the Hannah House placed on the National Registry, and the family began holding events at the house in the 80s to raise funds to maintain the house and offset rising property taxes. They held parties, murder mystery dinners, music performances, Easter egg hunts, weddings, haunted houses, art shows, and flea markets. Because they did the antique stuff.
I like many of those things.
So with more people visiting the house, the number of odd experiences increased. People started claiming to smell burning candles wafting down from the attic, where servants who had lived in the house supposedly had kept an altar. Several people have mentioned experiencing the foul smell of rotting flesh in the first bedroom at the top of the stairs. Multiple ghosts have been spotted, including a man in a black suit who walks the upstairs hall, a woman near a window on the second floor, and a stillborn baby presumed to be Elizabeth. I'm like, how do you see a stillborn baby?
Right? Like, how do you know that one? That one seems a little far-fetched, not gonna lie.
Right. The rest, not so much. That one, The most prevalent haunted tale at the house involves the deaths of those fleeing enslavements whom Alexander supposedly had hidden in the basement of one of his outbuildings. The story is an insensitive urban myth, which is untrue. The legend also suggests that the Hannah House was a stop on the Underground Railroad, but no evidence exists to substantiate that Alexander participated nor that his house was connected to it. A Indianapolis historian stated that there is no evidence to say that his house was a part of the Underground Railroad. All we know is that he was a Quaker and an abolitionist who would be sympathetic to those enslaved. His property was located away from prying eyes in the city. You can rent it.
You mentioned the smell of rotting flesh. No, thank you. I don't think I need to rent it.
So the rental allows access to the entire house and grounds. You can decorate it. You have no restrictions on caterers, and you're allowed to bring your own food. You have access to the kitchen that includes 2 refrigerators and a range, and their rental price is $150 per hour for a minimum of 4 hours. And they will book up to 11 p.m.
Not a bad rate.
A $200 non-refundable deposit holds your booking.
Reasonable pricing, honestly.
Did you have any thoughts, Kat? Okay. The next one is The Story Inn.
Oh, books.
It is a unincorporated community in Vanborough Township, which is located in Brown County. Brown County itself was created in 1836 from portions of Monroe, Delaware, Jackson, and Bartholomew counties. I was like, Bartholomew? Okay. The land had been acquired from the Native American tribes in 2 parts based on a treaty line that ran southeast to northwest. known as the 10 o'clock treaty line and later referred to as the Indian boundary line. The land southwest of the line was obtained in the Treaty of Fort Wayne, known as Harrison's Purchase. The land northeast of the line was obtained in 1818 in the Treaty of St. Mary's, known as the New Purchase. They could have gone with the Old Purchase, New Purchase thing, but whatever.
No, but definitely we're just going to make it very confusing, and then this one's new. But this one's new.
Right. The area encompassing the village of Story was open to European settlement in September of 1809, and the so-called 10 o'clock treaty opened 3 million acres to the settlement, and the boundary being a line running from Raccoon Creek on the Wabash River near Montezuma to Seymour, marked by a shadow cast at 10 a.m. each September 30th.
That is
I'm just like, that's
so much.
a little odd.
It's so, like, there's so many things inside of that. Like,
Yeah,
how
that
would you
line
remember
passed through the heart of what would become the village of Story, and today that line is denoted by the Story Monument in the center of the village green.
Sounds quaint.
So this village is named for Dr. George P. Story, who received a land patent for 173 acres from President Fillmore in 1851. The original land patent is on display at the Story Inn. During the early 1850s, he moved from Ohio to settle on the acreage because, of course, wanted to make sure that, you were on the land.
Right? Get good use of that land that you were gifted, but was probably taken unkindly.
Right. So family farms, the doctor's medical practice, a township school, and a grist mill were established over the following 20 years, prompting local reference to the area as Storyville. Because, of course, the formal creation of this village of Story occurred in 1882 when Dr. Arnold S. Griffith continued operation of the medical practice and farming operations and established a dry goods stores that housed the first post office. It was at this point that the First Church's congregation was also founded. The Story Griffith House, which is a 1858 house, is now part of Story Inn. It grew in importance during the 1990s, as along did other villages. It began to fade. Blah blah blah. And during the 1880s and 1890s, the village centered around the store and the grist mill. A sawmill was later added. It also had a blacksmith shop and a slaughterhouse. In the 1900s, the store and grist mill were sold to Alra and Mary Wheeler, and they lived in the Queen Anne-style architect Wheeler Hedrick house, which was across from the store and is also now part of the Story Inn. They've just kind of smished all the places together.
Right? They're just mishmashing, and you get to be in here. It's like a Frankenstein building.
Yeah, pretty much. After enlarging the original store building, the building burned in November of 1915 following the fire. One report claimed that Wheeler's store, that his stock was one of the largest in the county, and then a new 2-story building was built with Wheeler General Store prominently painted across the upper facade.
Painted across the upper facade?
Yes. Did I say facade?
Focaccia.
Focaccia.
Words are hard today. Okay. It's been a long week.
Painted across the bread.
Blah, blah. Goes to the village. They keep adding more buildings to
the inn. No, it's
not
even an inn. It's a whole community inside, like that building. And I don't know if it's like Japan or something where everything is inside. You don't even have to leave.
Pretty much.
Or
is anything here haunted? Please tell me no. Please tell me nothing here is haunted, and it's just a weird Frankenstein building.
So flash forward to the 70s, the general store is still operating. In 78, Benjamin and his wife Cynthia Schultz purchased 4.5 acres that included the grocery store, gristmill, barn, and a small rented house. They occupied the second floor of the store building as their residence. In this manner, the Story Inn was born. The decade that followed, the couple reassembled the nearly 24 acres that today defines the old town, converting the upstairs of the grocery store and the surrounding cottages into guest homes and making the name Story Inn synonymous with the town itself. So I forgot, they didn't mishmatch all the buildings together. They just were redoing.
They redid everything
Rental
and then
houses.
said, instead of it being like all one building, it was the town itself.
Yes.
All right, that seems a little bit more palatable.
So they sold the Story Inn in 1992, and the town once again fell into hard times. Federal bankruptcy was followed by receivership, and the town was sold at sheriff's sale February of 99 to an entity owned by Rick Hofstetter, who was a Indianapolis attorney and preservationist, and Frank Mueller, who was a German-born restaurateur. They had previously helped renovate the iconic Athenaeum in Indianapolis. Hofstetter served first president of the foundation, and Mueller was the manager of the restaurant. It's now a country inn / bed and breakfast. The second story of the old general store, the local lore is that it was once a Studebaker buggy dealership where wagons and buggies were assembled, has been renovated into a 4-bed and breakfast accommodations, notable as the Blue Lady, who is apparently an innocuous apparition with flowing white robes whose cheeky behavior has been observed by employees and recorded in guest books since the 1970s.
Cheeky behavior.
She's believed to be the spirit of the wife of Dr. George Story. The room where she is always seen was once called the Garden Room. However, it has been renamed after its most frequent visitor. People believe that a blue light is placed in the room. In the on position, the Blue Lady would appear. However, there have also been cases when the Blue Lady would just appear on her own. She is described as having blue eyes and has the habit of leaving behind items that are blue in color. Some people also report smelling cherry tobacco, which was her favorite when she was alive.
Appreciate that she's like, I will not be summoned. I shall appear when I choose.
So the old general store is now a restaurant. In March of 2019, the village was placed on the National Register of Historic Places, and it hosts the annual Indiana Wine Fair in May. The inn is just 13 miles from the village of Nashville, Indiana, and is located adjacent to the southwestern boundary of Brown County State Park. So that's really, the Blue Lady was the only spooky thing I could find about there, but like with almost like ghost towns have been turned into rental places, like there's always going to be all kinds of spookies.
Something's going to pop up.
So then there's the Rhodes Hotel, which is located in Indiana, or obviously Indiana, Atlanta, Indiana, not Atlanta, Georgia. I was just like, it threw me off when I was researching it because I was like, Atlanta? That's Georgia. Indiana has Atlanta. Okay. So it was built in 1893 and is a 2-story rectangular Queen Anne style frame building. It measures approximately 36 feet wide by 60 feet deep and features a 2-story front porch and cross gable. The porch features a jigsaw cross gable braces and ornate porch turnings and braces. It remained in use as a hotel until the 1920s and then was later converted into apartments. The building has 22 rooms.
So a small hotel.
It was managed by Clara Rhodes while her husband Newton Rhodes traveled for work. It was named after them because their last name is Rhodes. The hotel was a busy place in late 1800s and early 1900s, but after the natural gas boom in the area diminished, she had to become creative with keeping the doors open. Allegedly, the hotel became a brothel and a speakeasy in those years following the natural gas boom.
There it is. Get a little spicy over there.
After Newton's death, Clara turned the house into a dual brothel and speakeasy. It is said that one of the prostitutes, Sarah, still haunts her bedroom that was tucked behind the stairs on the second floor. The parlor also has a trick door on the southern wall leading to a back storage space.
The Harry Potter of the brothel world.
The hotel closed in 1937 but remained in the Rhodes family hands. However, it sat empty for over 30 years. The family finally sold the building in 1968 and auctioned off its contents. There were 3 confirmed deaths in the hotel. Clara, Newton, and their son Everett all passed in the hotel. It is unclear where Everett's funeral was held, but Clara and Newton's funerals were held in the hotel because that's what you did at the time.
Of course.
Everett died in one of the upstairs bedrooms from tuberculosis at 18 years old.
Oh.
Possibly a preacher, Lester Poor, allegedly hung himself in the attic during the hotel's heyday, and some people think that his death may have been a murder and not a suicide. The hotel is now owned by Crystal Couch. Her brother Mike is the main tour guide for the hotel. He is supported by Gina, who is a paranormal investigator who has a long history with the hotel. Adam, also a fellow paranormal investigator, also insists with public investigations according to their website, which is rhodeshotel.com.
I like that they're leaning in.
According to the Indy Star newspaper article, Clint and Linda Haley purchased the home in 1995 and were more concerned with restoring the building than the paranormal. They owned the property until 2017. They found a suction-like medical device with a patent marked 1894 and told a reporter that the discovery was typical for moving into a historical building.
No,
I'm sorry. There's nothing is typical about that whatsoever. It was placed on the Registry of Historical Places in 1987 and is currently undergoing restoration due to deterioration. According to the website, the Rhodes Hotel website, our public investigations are limited to a small group. Feel free to bring your personal equipment to use for these investigations. We do not allow Ouija or talking boards. No open flames, including sage. No provoking. Please be respectful of the hotel, its past/present occupants, and fellow investigators. No age limit, but we do require an adult or guardian to be present at all times. And I was like, yes! Love this!
Also, Bagel Hands can't come. He's a provoker.
Yes.
well, okay. He's not anymore. Did you not hear what happened?
I did. I think we talked it over in one of the last ones, but my previous experience with his shows was always provoking. And it was always Aaron who got the brunt of it.
Speaking of, Rachel sent me the video about Aaron at the court hearing. Consequences of her actions, but let me tell you, like, he deserves a good woman. I think the witches as a collective, we should do a protection spell for Aaron and find him the perfect person for him.
He needs a lot of healing done.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So people have captured a figure-like shadow moving across the living room's curtains with night vision cameras. A sheriff's deputy has felt someone tugging at his shorts upstairs. And most commonly, people have heard whispers or the second floor creaking when no one else is inside. Mike has said he's seen and heard supernatural happenings in the hotel since moving onto the property. He's heard footsteps up the house's lone staircase. So there's only one staircase in the house. The property's cameras have turned off and picked up voices before the footage flickers back on. Once, while hosting an investigation, Mike said he witnessed one of the many Victorian dolls left behind from a previous owner jump off of its chair.
Leaves the dolls alone. No, thank you. No dolls.
Absolutely no dolls. No, thank you. So, I couldn't really find a lot about this next place, but it's like everything I looked up, it's supposed to be like super haunted. How you guys feel about Mexican food?
I like guacamole.
Myself I am the resident Latina, so it is my life because I too am a tiny little Mexican bowl of guacamole.
Well, you're not going to want to eat here. Because it's on the list. Duh. So it is the Hacienda Mexican restaurant. Michiana Paranormal Investigations launched an investigation at the Hacienda on Lincoln Way West. It was formerly a private mansion, so of course, haunted as fuck. The legend says a maid was mysteriously killed in the attic after having an affair with the owner of the mansion. And according to rumors, she can sometimes be seen standing in the upstairs window. Today, staff at the restaurant have seen and heard strange things. The marketing director said that lots of things like lights turning on by themselves, water turning on by itself happens. Just figures going by doors and stuff like that. Most of the activity, though, is in the basement or in the attic.
Okay, so we stay on the main floor only.
And that being said, unfortunately, Meg, you have to vamoose off this floor.
I'm leaving to not go to the basement nor the attic. I'm walking straight out the front door, never looking back, because please don't whisper or touch my clothes.
Fun.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of this craziness. I'm gonna go.
Doing it by myself. Thanks.
Yes, I leave you in capable hands and with terrifying causes. So enjoy. Bye.
Bye. So the Michiana Paranormal Investigations used various pieces of equipment to detect things like movement and sound, like you do. During their investigations, they found something in the attic. We captured an unknown. I don't want to say voice, but some sort of phrase or tone, said Jeff Price, who is the co-founder of the Paranormal Investigations. It sounded like 3 syllables, but we can't really figure out what it was. This private mansion turned restaurant is haunted by apparitions of people who lived there, including the maid and the mansion owner. So after the maid hung herself in the attic, the mansion owner shot himself in the basement.
You're traumatizing me all over again.
Sorry, okay?
Not fine, but keep going.
People have reported ghostly occurrences like the lights, water, and appliances turning on and off on their own. When the brewery was still operational, because I guess it was a brewery at one point, a young man fell to his death off of the brewery tower. No matter who or what haunted the place, it's definitely something paranormal happening there. The next place is the Zion United Church of Christ Cemetery.
This place I have heard of, but only because it was on a Ghost Adventures episode and Emily FaceTimed me and was like, "Do you see this shit?" And I was like, "I'm good."
So I couldn't find a lot of stuff about it, like about the history or anything about it. It's just it was essentially, it's in the town of Poland, is one of the most haunted places in all of Indiana. Locals have reported a wide range of unexplained phenomena at the cemetery, including ghostly whispers, eerie sensations of being watched, the appearance of unexplained lights and sounds, and according to legend, a helpful spirit is said to occasionally leave the cemetery to warn visitors if they are approaching cursed ground. But otherwise, I couldn't find much about it other than that little snippet. That was it. And I was just like, okay, well, it's one of the most haunted, so it's included. I just work with what I can find.
I mean, the Ghost Adventures episode, it was literally them just going to the cemetery with the EVPs and a couple of other equipment. And of course, Bagel Bites was doing his usual BS of trying to piss off the fucking spirits. And I'm just sitting there going, it's one of these days, he's just going to get his shit rocked.
Sorry, I was catching up on messages. Next one is another cemetery. It's the Vincennes City Cemetery. It is a historic burial ground located in the state, obviously. It comprises 3 sections of land. So you have Green Lawn, Fairview, and Memorial Park. And so the city cemetery is separated into these 3 parts because it's huge. Green Lawn is the oldest, having been established in 1788, and is believed to be the final resting place for more than 10,000 people.
No thanks, I'm good.
This makes it the oldest public cemetery in the state and a unique and important part of the state's history. The cemetery is open to the public and offers a variety of activities for visitors.
Cemetery offers a variety of activities?
Guided tours are available that provide an overview of the cemetery's history and its many monuments. Visitors can also explore the grounds on their own or take part in special events such as memorial services or educational programs. The cemetery is home to a variety of monuments, including those dedicated to veterans, pioneers, and other noble figures. It also contains a variety of trees and plants that have been carefully preserved over the years.
I can get behind. You know me. I love trees because they help us breathe.
I mean, plants do too, but so it's an important part of the history and the culture, and is a reminder of the past and a place to honor those who have gone before us. So basically, fun place. It's open year round. Obviously it's a cemetery, so it's haunted as fuck. It was on the list, but then I couldn't find anything like specifically haunted about it. And I was like, it's an old ass cemetery. It's gonna be haunted.
Right. A few of those places, which I mentioned on a different episode, it's the one in Texas. It's not a lot of information, but enough for it to make the quote. You're muted. Also, I keep yawning because I haven't been sleeping. I'm not bored.
I know.
I promise.
I lost my spot, so give me a second.
You found
Okay,
it?
found it.
Okay.
I have 30 pages to go through, so it was a lot.
Page are you on right now?
17.
We're at 2 hours, babe.
Well, a lot of that was the
Photos and links.
The links, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say 30 pages. West Mesa was 30 pages, and that was almost 3 hours long. So
Right.
okay,
So another cemetery, the Step Cemetery. It is located in Morgan Monroe Forest, north of Bloomington. It is one of the county's earliest pioneer cemeteries. Contains 114 graves, the oldest being from 1851, that belonged to Private Isaac Hartstock, who was a veteran of the War of 1812. So really old. The land was originally owned by Reuben Stepp, who had purchased the land, including the already existing cemetery, in 1856. He owned the land for 28 years before selling it to Will Peterson in 1884, who then sold the land to the state in 1929. There are roughly 50 tombstones still remaining in the cemetery, due to years of disrepair and vandalism taking their toll. One of the earliest ghostly tales involves one of Reuben Stepp's children. Apparently, there was a property disagreement within the family that led to the death of Reuben's son. Not being able to rest, his spirit is reported to angrily roam the cemetery, confronting anyone who dares to trespass on the property that he coveted in life. In truth, Reuben Stepp had 17 children with his wife, Sabra.
How many?
17. I mean, this was the 1800s, so
Didn't have
you weren't expecting all of them to survive. Surprise, they all did.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they didn't have Netflix. They had libraries, and they had, saloons and solariums. So they didn't really have, any other. Well, I mean, she could have embroidered, but I mean, it's only so much.
I mean, and parents, right? Making the other kids help out with the other kids.
Parentifying kids.
That word.
Parent.
My brain was like, we're not pronouncing that word today.
Yeah.
But in truth, none of the children appear to be buried in the cemetery, but Reuben is buried there along with his infant grandson, Thomas Stepp, who died in 1869 at 1 year, 27 days old.
They're not buried there, then where are they?
Elsewhere. A similar version of this story states that the land was originally owned by a family, presumably the years prior to Reuben's ownership of the land. And when that patriarch died, He did not specify which of his two sons would receive the land at his death, which sowed discord between the two, or between the brothers. And the confrontation came to a fatal conclusion on the ground that is now the cemetery, with the brothers deciding to face off in a duel, and the winner would receive their father's land. Guys, duels are horrible ways of figuring out how to sort out things. Fisticuffs is so much better. And then you're not firing a gun at each other. Like, come on. Unfortunately, both brothers were reportedly losers that day, as the two bullets that were fired fatally struck their intended targets, killing both. Currently, there are no graves in the cemetery that correspond to two brothers having been buried there in the same year. Assuming they would have been the first interments at the cemetery, perhaps their markers have been lost to time. Which is possible. It has been connected with the Krabbit religious sect, which was a fundamentalist group that had a reputation for excessive practices like snake handling. So in my notes, I kind of go off into them a little bit. Basically, they believed the earth was square and were inspired by the Book of Revelations. So legends state that the members of the group, who were also believed to participate in snake handling and free love, are buried in the cemetery. Religious groups such as these have been found in areas of rural Appalachia and are often somewhat secretive and isolated. Of course they are. The terrain of the state forest is similar to that of the Appalachia, so it is possible that that's what attracted the group there. Unsure. The cult was supposedly located near the cemetery and that they often used the grounds to carry out bizarre rituals. It is said that the group was led by a single leader and that the members spoke in tongues, handled snakes, and danced naked among the tombstones. This behavior likely left its mark on the hallowed grounds of the cemetery, which possibly contributed to the existence of dark entities and many reports of paranormal activity in the otherwise peaceful location. There is a story about visitors seeing a woman in white, similar to what the cult would have worn, as she is often seen walking slowly through the trees surrounding the cemetery, but once she is bathed in light, her form changes to that of something dark and ominous, before disappearing from sight. There is the most famous legend of the cemetery is the woman in black. This is not white.
Not white. That's what I was going to say. I mean, that's different.
So there are many different variations of this story. So one is that a young child died tragically and was buried in the cemetery. Its mother had a tree stump carved into a chair so she could sit at the grave and mourn. Those that have seen this version of her are said to hear her crying. This chair, which is still there, was given the name the Warlock's Chair, and it is said that she is seen sitting in the chair with two white wolves at her feet.
Oh.
Another version is that the child's father killed the child, and in fury, she killed the father and then was sentenced to hang until dead, that she put a curse on the chair, and that if anybody sat in or touched it, they would die within a year. There's another one that is said that one of the group's followers was a young mother named Anna that tragically lost her daughter in a hit-and-run accident on Indiana 37. Grief-stricken, she buried the child at the cemetery, but this is where that sad little tale takes a grisly turn. Anna returned the night after that she buried her child, and carefully exhumed the body, cradling it in her arms before once again burying her daughter. She followed the same pattern night after night until one evening a tree near the grave was struck by lightning, leaving a large stump. This soon became a chair of sorts where Anna, who was always dressed in black, could sit and rock her daughter before once again burying the child. Like at one point, it had to be so smelly.
So, I mean, as far as decomp goes, after, I want to say maybe about a month, because that's when the gases finally start to leave the body. At least with my experience with working with the morgue, because there was a day when all of the fridges went out. So, I mean, we had a John Doe in there for over 2 months. And so, the composition quickened overnight. And the other ones, they were dying naturally. So we were able to put them in refrigerated buses and send them off to San Jose Mortuary. But, I mean, we were just a hospital, so we didn't have that much space. But I tell you, that smell sticks with you. It is the most disgusting. Have you ever smelled a ripe dumpster?
Yes.
Also, I happen to know the Blue Angels are probably practicing right now because I can hear them. When you're talking, I can hear the planes.
That's Tyndall, unfortunately.
That's okay, but I mean, like, that's the first time I've ever heard it. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, they're probably doing training stuff right now. So, in another version of Anna's story, she was a wife and mother, and her husband Jacob was killed in a quarry accident and buried in the cemetery. She reportedly turned all of her attention to their 16-year-old daughter, Emily, and became protective of her. And when Emily was invited to a dance, Anna had her reservations but allowed her daughter to attend. The weather turned rainy that night, and returning home from the dance, the car with Emily and her date slid off the road, hitting a tree. Emily was killed instantly. Anna had her daughter buried in the cemetery next to Jacob, and she would visit the grave site every day and was often seen by locals draped in black, sitting on the large stump and speaking to her daughter as if she was still alive. Much as with the previous tale, the sorrowful spirit of Anna is said to remain in the cemetery, mourning the loss of her daughter. There is some potential truth to this version of the story, as there is a Jacob and Anna Adkins buried in the cemetery. The couple had 11 children, one of whom, Ida May, passed away at the age of 17. She was buried in Fry Cemetery, though, also known as Taylor or McGowan Cemetery, which is located on North Low Gap Road in the state forest not far from the cemetery. And the final version of the tale of the woman in black seems to surround not only the tree stump, but also a small flat gravestone with yellow lettering emblazoned on it with the name Baby Lester and the year 1937. Baby Lester is buried near the Atkins family plot at the back of the cemetery, not far from the tree stump. You cannot miss this stone. It is often covered in gifts, including coins and toys from visitors to his grave. It is said that following the death of her days-old son, Baby Lester's mother began coming to the cemetery to mourn the loss of her child. She would often be seen dressed in black and sitting on the stump. Following her death, her spirit remained in the cemetery and has been seen there ever since. In truth, though, Baby Lester passed away after taking only a few breaths in 1937. His mother, Oletha Pryor Lester, and father Hardley Lester eventually divorced. Oletha later married James Walls and moved to Indianapolis. It is unlikely that she is the woman in black, as she lived to be 85 years old, passing away in 2007, long after the reports of the woman in black began. She is buried in a Oakland Memorial Gardens in Fishers, Indiana. When approached, the woman in black will either disappear or dash into the woods. Her spirit has been seen walking among the trees before vanishing. Other witnesses report seeing the lady in black bent over almost as if she's digging for something in the cemetery. There are many of the graves in the cemetery are of infants and children because, of course, at that time, children didn't live long. There is a spirit of a teenage girl that has been seen in the cemetery on numerous occasions. It is said sometimes in the 1950s she was murdered in the state forest and her body dumped near the cemetery. Some stories state that she was found decapitated. Her mother spent the remainder of her life trying to find the killer but failed. It is said that the ghost of the girl now wanders the cemetery, possibly looking for the justice that escaped her mother, or quite possibly looking for her head. Though many reports state that the murder occurred in the 1950s, it is quite possible that the story began to circulate as a result of the high-profile murder of Indiana University student Anna Harmier, 1977. It was reported missing after she did not arrive for class as expected, and her car was later found on Indiana 37, 2 miles from Martinsville. It had overheated due to a faulty thermostat, and after an extensive search that lasted 36 days, Anna's body was found in a cornfield roughly 7 miles northeast of Martinsville. She is buried in Milton Cemetery in Milton, Indiana, and her killer has never been brought to justice.
There is such thing as a cairn, but it's over in Scotland and it's like a swampland. I don't think you're meaning that. So cornfield. And
I don't know where the cornfield came from.
you're part Wisconsinite. It's okay. My aunt will adopt you. So her killer's never been found?
Or at least been brought to justice.
We can probably cover that on the podcast.
Yeah, probably.
What's her name again? Anna.
There's also an urban legend similar to the Hook Man of Tillet Cemetery. In this case, it is a Hook woman who was once a grieving mother. As the story goes, the mother was driving with her son on Indiana 37 when they were in an accident. The young child was killed instantly and later buried in the cemetery. His mother survived, but her hand had been severed during the accident, later being replaced with a hook. Her son had been afraid of the dark in life, so the mother ventured to the cemetery nightly to watch over her grave. It is said that even in death, she returns to the cemetery to comfort her son and will reportedly chase off trespassers while waving her hook angrily at them. Which, I mean, I would too. Damn kids, get off my lawn! So next up is the Edna Collins Bridge. It was the last covered bridge that was built in Putnam County in 1922. It was built by Charles Hendricks to span Little Walnut Creek. It replaced a concrete bridge that had been washed out in high water. It is 80 feet long with 8-foot overhangs on both sides, and it is 15 feet wide and nearly 14 feet high. So it's a big bridge. So local lore claims it's haunted by a mother and her child. The most common tale is that a little girl by the name of Edna Collins lived nearby and frequently swam in Little Walnut Creek. Her parents would drop her and their dog off on their way to town, and when they would return, they would honk 3 times to let her know, hey, it's time to leave. Come out, it's time to go home. Well, one day, Edna failed to respond to her parents' horn sounding, and upon searching the creek, she was found to have drowned. Circumstances concerning her death are unknown. Variations of the story have her mother following her in death. Grieving over the loss of her child, it is said that she hung herself. Another tale is said that Edna's father, who built the bridge, says that it was Edna's father that built the bridge in memory of a daughter, but not true because we know who built the bridge. The routine you must follow to see the spirit of Edna begins with driving onto the bridge. There, you turn off your engine, honk 3 times. If you follow the pattern of her parents, Edna is supposed to appear and try to get in the car with you. Some witnesses have found child-sized handprints on their car and heard the laughter of a little girl nearby. To encounter her mother, you take a piece of rope supposedly hanging from the sign of a nearby church. Once on the bridge, it is said this will summon a shadowy figure. And if you follow the pattern of Edna's parents, Edna is supposed to appear and try to get in the car with you. Again, no, just don't. Let them.
I mean, I told you about when I was driving here from, where did I leave? From Virginia, and I was driving through Tennessee, and I saw that lady walking on the side of the road. You were on your way to work, and I was like, I see a lady on the side of the road, and you were like, don't stop. And I was like, but I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and you were like, do not stop. Just keep driving. And I was like, I don't know. And you were like, come on. Like every horror movie ever. And I'm like, I'm this end.
Like, I know, we're ingrained to be good people, but when you're in the middle of nowhere, like...
I never said I was smart.
Damn.
Never said
and it was nighttime.
I never said it was smart. I said it was intelligent. I never said it was smart.
Sometimes you're more book smart than street smart. So
listen, that's okay though.
Which is how you ended up giving rights to
serial
killers that later that thankfully never killed you.
One time.
And thankfully you lived to tell the tale.
Did. I told him to put everything in the trunk and that it'd be safe. And that we'd stop and get him groceries when we got to where we were going, because I was dropping him off over by the downtown Anaheim, downtown LA. Did you lose your place?
No. I was counting to see how many I had left. I only had like 4 left. So now we're going to the Tunnelton Tunnel.
The Tunnelton Tunnel?
Yes. It is located in Tunnelton, Indiana. The name of the town commemorates the local tunnels that had recently been completed for the railroad in the late 1800s because they couldn't come up with anything else. The city was plotted out in 1859. However, the Tunnelton United Methodist Church was placed in 16 by Thomas Milligan, who became the first minister to serve all of southern Indiana. So there's 2 different things haunting this area. So on February, ghosts. We'll go with ghosts.
Okay, great.
So on February 10th, 1887, sorry, Dr. Sister, I know it's your birthday. An ambush that was dubbed the Tunnelton Massacre occurred. Sometime during the 1880s, the town had a tavern alongside the railroad. It was a small brick building in town, which is now privately owned, was used during the Underground Railroad. So there was the Wilson Gang that was similar to the Reno Gang, which was another group of Indiana outlaws. And on February 5th of 1882, 3 members of the Wilson Gang were killed outside of a saloon. At the time of the massacre, the gang was planning to cause chaos in Tunnelton and to steal a lot of money, but one of their own members ratted them out and told town leaders of the plans. It is also said that locals overheard the gang members talking in the saloon about robbing Alfred Guthrie, who is a wealthy resident. Locals then ambushed and killed the gang members. It is said the tunnel harbors energy from the violence, despite the murders happening outside of the tunnel. So Tunnelton is pretty remote. It's got riverside camping, fishing, and an enormous train tunnel that had been the site of a murder, cave-in, 1880s gang shootout, has headless ghosts, and many other things.
No. How about just no?
The tunnel still operates to this day.
Rachel.
What?
Whoa.
Sorry, okay?
No,
I just
you're
do
not.
what the list
No,
says.
you listen. No, you are not. You are not sorry. No. Every time I get upset, my little pumpkin top just whims around like.
Okay, the tunnel was used by trains during carrying shipments of ammunition and supplies during the American Civil War, as well as both World Wars, because it's an active train line. So there was multiple cave-ins when it was being created. There was a graveyard that formerly sat on top of the hill that the tunnel was cut through. And during one of the cave-ins, it is said that more than one coffin fell into the tunnel, causing an uproar from the workers. So the cemetery had to be relocated to where it is now, and there's no telling how many bodies were buried under the wrong markers in all the confusion and chaos.
God.
So during this event, the tunnel was shortened by 30 feet, 9 meters, and was reinforced with a multi-layer red brick lining to prevent any further incidents. It also features dead man chutes, which are small cubby holes that are spaced periodically throughout either side of the tunnel, so that way when a train comes through, who's ever in the tunnel can duck into it and not get sucked under the train. Because when the trains go roaring through, it causes the walls of the tunnel to shake and the suction. So that way they can stay alive, because you don't want to get sucked under the tracks under the train, because you'll die. So more than a handful of horrific accidents have been documented over the years, including serious maiming, loss of limb, and death, because people didn't get to the chutes in time. It is also rumored to have been a popular site for mafia-related crimes during the Prohibition era in the 20s. According to local lore, a mobster once dragged a man into the tunnel, shot him dead, and left his body to rot. This unnamed victim is said to haunt the tunnel to this day, and his restless spirit manifesting in unexplained cold spots and shadowy figures are seen at the tunnel's entrance. These stories, while difficult to verify, contribute to the tunnel's enduring mystique as a place where the past and paranormal intersect.
To make an interjection, our episode for today that was published on the 3rd of October is Steve's episode, the Missouri. Frank, stop touching shit. The Missouri episode. I can hear him moving possum pans in the kitchen. I will get to that in a minute. Okay, stop moving shit.
If you're moving shit, you better be cooking something for me.
Josh is stopping and getting me fried chicken because I've been talking about it for like 2 days because your frickin' sister. Now I want chicken. Anyways, so he has left us a comment on Spotify officially, like right now. I adore him. He's great. He goes, "Yay, my episode."
I hope you're still saying, "Yay, my episode," when you're done listening to it.
I know. Seriously, like he needs to listen to the whole thing because we got a lot on that episode. And we went balls to the walls on that episode on getting research, but it was fun.
Okay, so back to Tunnelington. So they named the tunnel Big Tunnel because they're so original with fucking names. So you have Tunnelton, the town, and then you have Big Tunnel, the tunnel. So in 1908, a 26-year-old night watchman of the tunnel named Henry Dixon kissed his wife, 2 children goodbye for grabbing his lantern, going off to his job, to the watchman's guard shack of the tunnel. He relieved his coworker and learned that the other guy who was supposed to be on shift with him would not be joining him. So that means he's got to do this shit by himself.
No.
He shrugged his shoulders, didn't think anything of it. Nothing of interest had been occurring, so he's like, it's fine, whatever. I've been there, I've done that. He was well-liked, popular man with many friends, had several siblings, very family-oriented. He was routinely making his way from the guard shack, a few minutes walk from the tunnel, when he heard what sounded like a woman screaming, but also like wildcats. Sometimes their screams sounds like a woman screaming. So I've been like, nope, not looking that out. But 1908, different time. So he hurried up the tracks and found a man attempting to assault a young woman. So of course, like, good thing he stopped and he went and investigated. So he leapt into action without a second thought because, one, it's his job. Also, you're trying to assault a woman. Like, not on my watch. The guy let the woman go, and Henry threatened to send for the local police and have him charged for what he'd done. But of course, it's only Henry on shift. So he can't be like, called to his partner and be like, hey, I need you to go phone the police or anything. It's him by himself. It's believed that Henry knew exactly who the man was due to the small population of the town. But before the man took off into the night, he supposedly swore to Henry that he would have his revenge should Henry get the notion to turn him in, and that he would be back with his friends. It should also be noted the Wilson gang was still in town, and so it was popular belief at the time that the unknown man may have been one of the gang members. Henry walked the unnamed woman back to town and assured her of her safety. He then returned back to work. A few days passed. Henry told his friends that he was expecting trouble any night. He started carrying a revolver with him just in case. His friends tried their best to reassure him that likely it was nothing to worry about. Henry once again relieved the day watchman at the guard shack. And when he arrived, the second night man actually joined him that night. Of course, I guess he had sighed in relief. Like, I would have too. Like, you're on edge. Things were returning to normal again. Henry felt safer with, the second worker. They swapped off on patrols of the tunnel. In the early hours of July 23rd, entered the tunnel as a train passed through. The fireman and engineer both made statements that they witnessed Henry give the signal all clear before they entered the tunnel, meaning that there should have been nobody coming through the tunnel, nobody in the tunnel, should be good to go. However, the next morning, Henry did not report back to his guard post. After a short time, a two-day watchman entered the tunnel to try to locate Henry. His body was found deep in the tunnel with his lamp still burning next to him. He had a deep gash to the side of his decapitated head. The rest of his body seemed bruised up and his clothes were torn up. The way he was found suggested a train had removed his head, but given the circumstances, the police deemed that his death was a murder. Local newspaper clippings showed that the police had called for the arrest of 2 suspects. However, the lack of sufficient evidence led them to dead ends. Puns not intended. A grand jury conducted an evidence-based hearing but came to no conclusions, and the unnamed woman was not found in any surviving documentation. So it is believed that Henry also haunts the tunnel. Frickin' trees, allergies. I was able to grab paper clippings of the morning after he was found, his memorial paper, like all the clips that went along with that. So let's do the state capitol building now.
Capitol building is haunted? Oh, I love a good haunted Capitol building. The one in Austin, that one was haunted. I told you what happened at that one, right?
Okay, so built in 1888, it houses the General Assembly, the governor's office, and the state's Supreme Court, along with other state official offices. The current building, is the fourth to house the state's government.
The fourth.
So, the fourth. They had to move shit 4 times. So, the first state house, which was located in Corrington, Indiana, is still standing and is maintained as a state historic site. The second building was the old Marion County Courthouse, which was demolished and replaced in the early 20th century. The third building was a structure modeled on the Parthenon.
There you go. You're great. You're doing wonderful.
my tongue hurts. But was condemned in 1877 because of structural defects and was destroyed, so the current state house could be built on its location. So the first state house was from 1816 to 1824. The second, the courthouse, was 1825 to 1835. The second state house was 1835 to 1877. Temporary facilities were used from 1877 to 1888 until the Capitol building, the current one, could be built.
Steve sent me a photo of the FLDS upside down ice cream cone that I couldn't find. Wait, hold on. I'll send it in the group chat. This is what it looks like a perturbed unicorn is what it looks like. Or a really bad time if you're going to a fun event.
All right, actually, yeah. $2 million of U.S. money was appropriated for the construction of the new building that was completed in 1888. I didn't get the chance to flip it, but still, $2 million in 1888 money. And then I have 2 other numbers for you to look it up.
Are you ready? $3.68.
So I need you to do 1.8 million now.
Year, same year?
Because that's how much that current governor, who was famed for his frugality, was able to complete the project and then returned the extra money to the general fund.
$3.16. That's a lot of cheddar.
Yeah. Right? And he returned because they gave him basically $2 million. He used 1.8. So the additional, or the extra 200,000 sent back or put into the general fund. So, I mean, the fact like he was able to do it like below budget, we like that. So, team of commissioners, including the former Civil War general and civil engineer Thomas A. Morris, planned and oversaw the project. It was designed by Edwin May, who was an Indianapolis architect. Not wanting to repeat the mistakes that had been made in the construction of the previous state house, the legislature required that the new capitol to be built on a solid foundation so that it could last for decades. They also put in a time capsule into part of the foundation. Construction began in 1880 and the cornerstone was laid on September 28th. The interior was modeled in the Italian Renaissance style, and whenever possible, materials native to Indiana was used. So doors were made from Indiana oak, and Indiana limestone was used throughout the structure. The building's cornerstone is a 10-ton block of limestone that was quarried in Spencer, and the central dome was completed in 1883. The dome was also wired for electricity, even though Indianapolis did not yet have an electrical power grid. So they're like, we're planning this for the future shit, which, great, love that. In 1887, the Capitol was sufficiently finished for the first legislative session to be held there. Construction ultimately endured 8 years, and the building was finally completed in October of 1888, with the pinnacle of the building reaching 256 feet high, which is 78 meters. It was the second tallest building in the state at the time of its completion, which for 1888 being that tall, incredible. The building is designed in the shape of a cross, because of course it is. A large central rotunda with a domed glass ceiling connects the 4 wings. The structure is 4 stories high. It also has a basement, which I don't know that if that includes the basement. I don't think so.
It probably doesn't, because it's included. We also just got a message from our lovely Michaela, our little witch. She goes, also, back-to-back episodes, chef's kiss.
Listen here. It's been absolutely exhausting.
It has been exhausting. I'm the only one editing because everybody else has a full-time job. This is my full-time job. I don't get paid for it. I don't care if I ever get paid for it. I would like to, but that means we'll have like hundreds of thousands of followers, and I'm okay with that because everybody's a little feral. But it'll only happen once a year, and it will only happen in October. Just saying that.
But also, you're OCD enough that even if one of us tried to help edit, you would still be going back over, going, no, you're not doing it right.
I would, because you tried very nicely when I was getting married. She tried to help me with my laundry, with folding some stuff and putting it away. She folded my towels wrong, and I did the base for a good solid 3 minutes. And she's like, I'm just going to leave it.
I just unfolded it and just handed it to her. I was like, show me how you fold. And she went, okay, I can do that. And I was like, okay, because everybody folds them differently. So I'm just like, how do you fold? Like, I fold my towels a mixed match of like 2 different ways, because it all depends on how long the towels are. So, because
you do the rolling method, and you also do the hospital 3-fold method, which is the kind that I do. And you also do that one other one, which is weird as hell, but that's fine. It's yours.
So technically I use 3 different methods, but like, it all depends on like who I'm folding the towels for as well, and where they're going. So,
on topic.
1988, so jump forward 100 years, the administration of Governor Robert D. Orr proposed that the Indiana General Assembly renovate the State House as part of the Hoosier Celebration 88 as the year of the building's 100th anniversary. The General Assembly approved, and the building had an extensive $11 million renovation that continued until 1995.
What? Okay, if you just put a bunch of ADHD autistic people in charge of the renovation, it would have been done in less than a year.
You want to know what they did?
No, but you're going to tell me anyway.
So during the renovation process, all of the State House's stonework, consisting of marble, granite, and the limestone columns blocks, were cleaned and polished. All of the building's woodwork was repaired or replaced. Broken glass in the central dome skylight was replaced. The building's lighting was updated with new chandeliers based on the original designs, and most interior walls were repainted. So, well-needed touch-ups.
Restorations, yeah.
Yes. The building was then wired for a new data network to make the building ready for the 21st century technology. So, updating it. Love that. In 1984, the State House was added to the National Register of Historic Places, and it still remains as a protected building. The house is open for public tours during the work week and with limited tours during weekend mornings. Now we get to the haunted. There's a squeaky mail cart on the 4th floor. So the 4th floor has some less visited areas that people have said to hear a squeaky cart. It is believed to be the ghost of a mailroom employee who died in the late 1800s from either a fall or a jump from the balcony while pushing their mail cart.
No.
I'm just like, I'm stuck at work for the rest of eternity. No fucking thank you.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, is that if it was a job that I loved, like at the Folic, I loved the Folic Center. I loved working at the hospital too. So, I mean, like,
but having to push the squeaky mail cart for all of eternity. No, thank you.
No, thank you. And yes, I did just yell at Frank using his full government name.
All I heard was Frick! Like, oh, somebody's in trouble. Anyways, so there is supposedly a horse in the basement.
they get a horse? You know what? I don't want to know. Just keep going.
It is said that a blacksmith worked in the basement and a runaway horse reared up, striking a worker. The worker died from the injury, of course, because it probably got struck in the head. It is said that people can still hear horses neighing late at night in the basement. And then there is a woman in a dress. I just put the woman in the dress.
Is it white? Is it white or is it a different color for once?
It doesn't say. It just says that some reports are glimpses of a woman with long hair wearing a long, flowy 19th century dress who then vanishes. Others say that they see a mysterious grayish or black orb that follows visitors. So I'm just like, okay.
Love that for her.
It's not going to let me. Never mind. I was going to send you a picture of the rotund.
I can look it up. What is it?
It's just the interior of the rotunda of the Indiana State House. It's just very pretty. It's lots of colors. I told you. Very pretty. Just like the symmetry. Oh, it's just, I can't even talk. Like, it's just so pretty.
So there is a stained glass museum in Virginia because that's where Tiffany and Company was originally created. They have this technique for the staining of that glass, and it's like an ombre effect, and they call it the Tiffany effect, and it's just how it fades from the darker to lighter to I love that kind of stuff.
I do too. That's why I was like, oh, I need to. Kat's gonna like this. Put photo into notes.
So if I lived in Indiana, I would probably go once a week with a book and lay down on the floor and just stare up at the ceiling.
Right. So my last two are sad. So there's the Allegheny Airlines crash site. It was flight 853. It crashed near Shady Acres Park in Fairland, Indiana on September 9th, 1969. Flight 853 and a McDonnell Douglas DC-9, or it was a McDonnell Douglas DC-9, was operating a regular scheduled flight from Boston, Mass. To St. Louis, Missouri, stopping in Baltimore and Cincinnati, and then finally in Indianapolis. It collided midair with a Piper PA-28 light aircraft near Fairland, Indiana. The left wing of the smaller plane sheared off the larger plane's rear tail assembly, causing both to crash, killing all 83 occupants on board both. More than 50 years later, the incident remains Indiana's deadliest commercial airline disaster. After the accident, body parts were scattered all over the crash site. Eventually, everything was unfortunately picked up and tried to be reassembled, but there's not much they can do. So, not surprising, it's now among the most haunted places in Indiana because of all the deaths. And throughout the years, visitors have picked up all sorts of EVPs and spotted light anomalies and orbs in photos taken of the area. I'm just going to leave that one be and just leave it as that.
Yeah, because that's what we do. We don't go too much into that. This isn't Grey's Anatomy. We're not trying to go right for the jugular, guys.
So the last one is Lova's dollhouse grave. There are actually two dollhouse graves in Indiana, one in Alabama, but this one is supposedly like one of the most haunted. But
isn't the one that you were telling me about ages ago that you deep dove on because you saw okay, this is the one.
Lova Klein was born in 1902 and was the only child of George and Mary. Her, from the start, it was rough. She suffered from chronic crippling neurological condition, although the diagnosis is vague at best. Her parents loved her, doted on her, because of course She was their only child. When she passed in 1908, she left her parents and entire community crushed. Her unspecified affliction kept her bedridden, and her father, who was a carpenter, installed large windows so she could build the dollhouse and installed the large windows so that way she could view the inside easily from her bed. The dollhouse became her favorite toy. So George, basically, I couldn't find a lot about how she spent her time with it, but I did find a description of it. It was nearly 5 feet high, almost 3 feet long on each side. There is a wide bay window that yawned open on one side of the dollhouse. Smaller windows peeked out on the other two sides, and the back contained a window of glittering stained glass. Inside, on a dense mat of peach carpeting, George placed a collection of her favorite toys, tiny dolls, and the roof was gabled. The weather boards that were popular with a lot of scroll work covered. All the original furniture in the house was handmade by George, which consisted of 3 chairs, a love seat all with cushions, a vase of flowers on an end table adorned with a lace dolly, a crib with a small doll, and some toys laid about the room. The little dining room in the house consisted of a table covered with a lace tablecloth, a vase of flowers in the center, and 2 chairs with a doll in one. All of the dolls in the house were Lova's, which had been put there by her mother, along with dishes and lace curtains for the windows. So, because being her favorite toy, George weatherproofed it and placed it over her grave after she died, leaving instructions that it be torn down upon his and his wife's deaths. However, that didn't happen. Despite George's wishes, the community did not tear down the dollhouse after he and his wife passed in 1945 and 1946. She died in 45, he passed in 46. Lova's legend had become a community story, so Arlington moved the dollhouse, and so Arlington was the caretaker for the cemetery that she was originally placed in. So he paid to move the dollhouse and her body to where her parents were buried because they were buried in another cemetery. So that way they were all together under a family plot.
I mean, that's sweet though.
Yes. Unfortunately, her dollhouse did not stay untouched.
Yeah.
After a 1973 article retold her story, thieves, of course, and vandals shattered the stained glass window, tore open her dollhouse, stole the original dolls and furniture, and those items have never been recovered. The community, however, pulled together resources, rebuilding the house, reinforcing it, and filling it with new toys. There is a person that was given from George. She was like, her family was supposed to be like taking care of the house, make sure that like it doesn't any repairs or anything they do. So it's, I want to say it was like Lova's godmother essentially. And so it's her godmother's daughter and her children that are now taking care of it. And so the community helped them, redid it, put it higher up, and just all sorts of things to try and help prevent vandals from destroying it again.
That's good though.
The gravesite is said to be haunted because of course it is. Wouldn't be on the list. A glow has been seen within the little dollhouse windows at dusk. The house has no lights. Orbs have been spotted nearby. Of course, it's in a cemetery. And the tiny furniture has supposedly been moved around. It's unclear if this is Lova being happy with her dollhouse and being able to play with it finally, or if she's upset about the move to join her parents.
I mean,
But yeah.
yes and no, because I mean, like, as somebody who does commune with ghosts, there are some times where they tell you, you know, if you can just leave me alone, that'd be great. And it's like, I really wish I could, but I have to help you at least move on. Like in Frank's case, he's never going to leave me alone. And like, Abuela, she's always going to hide.
He's too attached.
Right. And I had a conversation the other day with Sydney, and she's like, when people reincarnate, do they reincarnate their whole soul? And I said, no, not really, because there are still echoes of them that still kind of hang around. Like, for instance, your Mimi, it's not all of her. You know, I mean, I know there's parts of her because ghosts don't stay in one place. They can move and travel and do whatever they want. But when you reincarnate, part of your soul breaks apart like the Horcrux. So imagine your soul being broken apart like stained glass when you die, and pieces of it get left behind. So that way, when you come back after, let's say you've lived a full life and you're like, okay, I've learned this lesson and this lesson and this lesson, it goes into your complete soul. And then it goes, you get to have that decision of whether or not you want to reincarnate again. And so there are some souls that just feel older than they truly are. And that's because it gets those previous fractions back, as it were. But like, I think her soul was just separated, and she just needed that space because her family was always with her. So she didn't have any space.
Right. And she died young. So she never got to really do anything. And she was bedridden almost her whole entire life. So the fact she's able to like get up and actually play with her dollhouse now, I'm sure she's over the moon about that.
Right. Right. And I mean, like, I know there was at one point before I brought the stuffed animals in here, Alexander would just play with the stuffed animals, and I would wake up the next morning and they would just be strewn about the living room, and or I'd wake up at 1 a.m. and turn on the AC because somebody fucked with the thermostat. I now have warded my thermostat so they can't, but I mean, still, regardless, you know, it's children do.
Invisible lockbox on. But yeah, that's what I have for Indiana. I'm pretty sure that when I spoke earlier about the 12 counties, I'm pretty sure it's 12 counties are in Central Time. But I'm going to double check that real quick.
I mean, it was a good episode. I liked it. It was very long. It was a very long episode, but that's because there was a lot of information. You know,
I misspoke. There's 92 counties in Indiana.
92.
My bad.
That's a
My bad, guys.
fuckload.
My bad.
That's okay. I mean, we try our best here, guys. We're trying our darndest. It might not always be right, but listen, we try with the best effort.
We really do.
Michaela's listening to the episode now, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Do you have anything to say before we end today's haunted episode?
Leave the dead alone.
I think that's self-explanatory. We tell everybody that on every haunted episode.
That's valid. Also, if you go to visit any of these very haunted sites, be respectful. Don't provoke, don't stir up shit. And
leave an offering if you can.
Yeah.
Spare change in your purse. A piece of gum.
Spare change.
Spare change. Anyone got spare change?
And just be respectful of the spaces. That's really all I can think of. And just be kind human beings.
I mean, October is going to be one of those months where everybody's going to, I've already been reached out by someone locally, and they're like, heard that you're a medium, heard that you offer medium, readings. And I said, yeah, absolutely. But it's, this much. And they laughed at it. And I said, oh, okay. So you think you can do it? Go ahead and do it on your own. And their response was, what? If you really think that you can commune with the dead, go ahead, do it. See what happens.
That's how you get haunted.
Listen, I know that.
Possessed.
I know that. I know how not to do that. They don't.
That's valid.
So like if you want to contact somebody, contact me, contact one of my kids, Sid, just contact your friendly neighborhood medium and see if you might be able to get some help. But again, don't be stupid, guys. Don't be the first person to die in the horror movie. As Emily always says, as she said earlier, anyways.
Do the stupidest of shit.
Don't.
Please don't. Stay feral.
Hit the hand.
And we'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
That's all for this episode. Stay feral, and we'll see you party possums next time.